All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
Oh, all right. Boy. I don't want this. What, Dan? You don't want to do the show? No, I love doing the show. I don't love doing these shows. But why are you doing it? Because I have to. But why would we want to be here if you don't want to do the show? Because we have to. You have to, too. What are you talking about? I'll tell you. Folks, this is one of those uncomfortable truths times where there's no one more aligned with the new MAGA agenda than me and this show. You know, the reason we have the biggest MAGA live stream out there, it's not an accident. It's because we don't bullshit people and we tell them uncomfortable truths. I know some of this show, especially the beginning, is going to cause a bit of a shitstorm. And I have been trying to avoid these kind of shitstorms because they're a distraction. However, when you become the distraction, we have to undistract people from the distraction and call out the distraction so additional distractions don't happen. I got a lot going on today. It's going to be a big show. I got an excellent congressman from Texas who's been on the show before, Congressman Brandon Gill, talking about just some explosive information about this fraud government task force. The scope of the government fraud is so beyond your imagination. Even people who trust very little in government. So don't miss that. We got that coming up later. I'm just going to get right into it today. Today's show brought to you by American Financing. Summer expenses in 2026 are stacking up faster than ever. From those pricey family vacations, gas prices, airfares, looming tuition and camp fees, can be a strain on your wallet at times. For many of us, it feels like the only option is swiping the credit card, leaving you trapped in this terrible cycle of high interest debt. Homeowners, we have an option for you. It's American Financing. American Financing has a way out. They've been with me a long time. It's not about shortcuts. It's a real strategic plan to reset your finances and reclaim your budget. At American Financing, they specialize in building plans tailored specifically to you, your goals, your budget, your family. They look at your current debt and show you exactly how your home's equity can work smarter for you. Imagine rolling that high-interest debt into one simple, manageable monthly payment. There's no upfront fees and zero pressure, just honest advice from salary-based consultants. My listeners love American Financing. They've been great to them. On average, their American Financing customers are saving $800 a month. That's real breathing room. Start today. You may even be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. American Financing is America's home for home loans. So give them a call today. Just check it out. The number is 888-994-7660. That's 888-994-7660, or you can visit them online. It is a .net address, americanfinancing.net/Bongino, americanfinancing.net/Bongino. Thank you, American Financing. Folks, it is another time for choosing. You know the famous speeches about a time for choosing. It is another time for choosing now. Are we interested in hearing uncomfortable truths? Are we interested in results and the truth? Or are we interested in being like Democrats and the dance and the dancing and the bullshit and the performative acts? Well, what do we want? I know what I want, and I'm never going to spin or do this dance otherwise, okay? Results matter. The dance has got to stop. I say that because yesterday, again, a grenade gets thrown inside the Republican tent with, again, the Donald Trump has no agency theory. That Donald Trump has no control over his administration and that there was somehow you can dance with the euphemisms all you want. There was a raid by the CIA, and I don't know what, there was 1,000 different words. You get the point. There was a raid by the CIA and the DNI's office. Listen, I've been out of government for a couple of months now, but I'm pretty sure that would be a big deal considering that the Central Intelligence Agency is run by John Ratcliffe, who's a really good guy and is a strong ally of President Trump's and who's been in intelligence positions before. And I'm thinking to myself, having been in sit-downs at principal deputy meetings with Ratcliffe Director Ratcliffe of the CIA many times, like, that's kind of weird. They're not even a law enforcement entity. Like, how would they raid or invade or steal away? I don't know what euphemism you want to use. How would they raid the DNI? Like, that's not even a thing. They don't have any law enforcement powers. You tell them to go pound sand. They don't have subpoena power. The CIA is an intelligence agency. It's not a law enforcement entity at all. So I saw this story yesterday, and thankfully the DNI's press secretary, the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, this press secretary, Olivia Coleman, put out this tweet last night. This is false. The CIA did not raid the DNI's office, May 13, 2026. But you start to wonder, like, how did this even get out there? Ladies and gentlemen, listen to your boy Dan. This is hard. I know this is not a comfortable show. I don't want to do shows like this because there are 1,001 things going on other than debunking fake news from inside our own tent. You're telling me, just to be clear, someone leaked this to the media. It made it out there into the media ecosystem. Someone did it. You're telling me Donald Trump's CIA raided or invaded or whatever, unauthorized entry, I don't know, play the euphemisms games all you want, Donald Trump's DNI? Because those two entities are under the president. They're not legislative branches. They're branches of the executive office of the president. How many times do I have to tell you guys, please, listen to me. Listen, please. I'm trying to help. I'm only trying to help. This is all going to make sense over time. And I promise, even my harshest critics, and it's okay. It's okay. It's a republic. You're allowed to criticize, me included. Even my harshest critics, you're going to have to acknowledge I was right. I've been dealing with this for well over a year now. Anytime you hear a story about like rogue agencies and attacking each other, the FBI attacking the DNI, CIA, ABC attacking XYZ, it is all a derivative of the same. Donald Trump has no agency. There are people on the inside just taking control of this, weak guy and dog walking him around. Really? Really? Why would you be? One, it's bullshit. Capital B, capital U, LLSHIT, total bullshit. And secondly, even if it was true, which it is not, then resign. I don't understand. Like, just leave. I can't deal with it. The president's so weak. I can't deal. Why would you not? Why the leaks? Why using the media to do this all the time? And then backtracking later. Why would you do that? Maybe if you've been listening to my show, you already know the answer to that. Because as I've said to you, there are people out there already running a political operation from inside the White House against the MAGA movement. From inside the government right now. They're planning to run themselves, and all of a sudden you're seeing this plethora of news stories. Everybody's a hero. Listen to me, folks. What happened yesterday is a disgrace. What is the point of electing Donald Trump twice, probably 3 times? What is the point of electing Donald Trump? If you really believe he has no control over his people, why would you elect him? What evidence do you have of that? You really think Patel, Ratcliffe, Gabbard, they're all just running their own ops and the president doesn't, he's just, hey, hands off, just do your own thing, man. Like, it's like, whatever. It's like a syndicated TV show and something. We're just going to pay it and ship it off later. You guys do what you want. Watch reruns of Seinfeld all day. Folks, I'm getting tired of this shit. If you work for the EOP, the president and his executive office and in his cabinet, you're not there for you. You're not there for you. Do you have any idea how many times, whether it was anything from the pipe bomb case to Epstein to anything else, I wanted to respond to things that I knew were bullshit, It's not about you. You did not get elected. The president did. If you were a legislator, a United States senator, or a congressman or woman, yes, you are representing your state or your district. That is your job. Your job isn't to represent the White House. It's not. Hopefully you align with the agenda, but you don't have to. You're elected by a group of people within the United States, but a subset. The president is elected nationally. If you choose to work for him, you abide by the Constitution first, but it is generally assumed that you're aligning with the president's agenda or you wouldn't take the job. The president's overseas right now. President Trump is overseas right now, dealing with the most existential crisis of our time, that is the rise of the CCP in China. He's dealing with at the same time, our most dangerous, yet most important geopolitical rival. And they are a rival. Even they would quietly acknowledge that. They are not our buddies, okay? However, we can't ignore China. We can't pretend. And by the way, guy in the chat, I'm getting to them. Believe me, I'll get there when I'm ready to get there. There are people out there who still don't understand what's going on. You got China out there with nuclear weapons, an AI capability that could probably shut down at some point in the very near future, and is certainly a threat now to all kinds of systems in the United States. The president's overseas on the most important foreign trip he's ever going to take. And these leaks are going out in the media about, oh my gosh, the CIA raided the, oh, they didn't raid, we didn't say raid, we said this. Why is this even in the fucking media? Sorry, folks, language alert. Why the fuck is this in the media? Sorry, not sorry. Are you shitting me, man? President Trump right now has got the entire globe's future in its hands. If we screw this thing up with China and it results in thermonuclear war or the shutdown of our entire freaking electrical grid due to a cyber attack, we're all effing dead, folks. And we've got bullshit leaks from a bunch of kids pissed off inside the administration that what? Their agenda is not being, you didn't get elected. It's not about your fucking agenda. It's not about you, man. You didn't get elected to shit. Here's Fox covering what's going on in China right now. We've only got international trade to deal with, cyber threats, the Straits, nuclear weapons in Iran, Hamas terrorists, China's building next generation stealth fighters, like kind of important stuff. And this fucking kiddie bullshit's going on? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I'm sorry, man. I hate this Republican on Republican bullshit, but this has got to stop. The endless leaking to the media. Oh my God, look at us. We're such heroes. Everybody's fucking us over. Really? And Donald Trump's White House has no idea? Here's a Fox News report this morning. I want you to just listen to this. It's about a minute about what's being discussed in China right now while kids are leaking bullshit to left-wing media people that love the distraction. Check this out.
They talked about expanding market access for American businesses into China. Remember, the president brought this delegation of 16 CEOs from different business and tech backgrounds. They also talked about wanting more progress on stopping the flow of fentanyl. That's something the president brought up. Now, the Chinese purchases of American agricultural products was also something that was brought up in these discussions. And President Xi expressed interest in purchasing more American oil to reduce China's dependence on the strait in the future. That's a really big takeaway. So we're going to focus on that as well. Also, both countries agree that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And after reading through this readout, there was really nothing in there that said that China was going to help pressure Iran in any way to ending the conflict. We were wondering if that was going to come up.
Oil, nuclear weapons, Iran, industrial control systems, cyber attacks, world trade, starvation, World War III. Like, these are kind of important things. It's only the most important trip President Trump is ever going to take. I am not being hyperbolic. The history of the rock we call Earth, which I'm holding in my hands right now, if you're watching, is in the president's hands. If we screw this up, it will result in what Aisha Hasni and Fox just said, a conflict. Put up the Just the News article. Conflict. Turns out China threw a bit of a curveball, and Xi is now warning Trump of possible conflicts if Taiwan is mishandled. Leaders agree on the Strait of Hormuz. Folks, there's been a lot of amazing things that have come out of this trip already. However, one of the definite curveballs has been this unbelievably aggressive posture, I think surprised everyone, with President Xi now basically saying, hey, man, don't mess with us on Taiwan. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is a not new position, but certainly a more aggressive one. Do you have any idea what this conflict would look like between us and China? Folks, life as you know it will change forever. Forever. Your kids will be pulled into a foreign combat zone with a country of 1 billion plus people with nuclear weapons and next generation fighters. That's what the president's dealing with right now. That's what he's dealing with. And we've got a bunch of dipshits inside the administration leaking stories about a CIA raid that even the DNI saying didn't happen. So where did it come from? Folks, I say this yesterday because, and I'm just going to tell you right now, everyone's welcome in my chat. Nobody pushed harder. And believe me, the history books will document all of this. Your dopey opinion, if you're one of these like haters out there who just doesn't know shit about anything, when these people like you just hate the Jews, so that's what you do, use that as a proxy for attacks on me and others who call that stuff out. The history books are going to be clear on this. Nobody pushed harder and more aggressively on a lot of what happened with this COVID malfeasance than me and Kash Patel. Nobody. Anyone telling you otherwise is totally full of shit. We were very aggressive. You already saw what's going on with an active criminal investigation. You saw the results where I'm just going to leave it because I don't want to contaminate the process. But there is a process. These investigations have been going on for a long time. Why would you wait for the president to go overseas to China when he's negotiating the future of the globe to push one of your people from the DNI's DIG, Directors Initiative Group, into a hearing? And listen, Rand Paul and Ron Johnson can do what they want. They're in the legislative branch. I have no problem with the information and definitely no problem with the transparency. I only have a problem with the timing. The president's overseas in China. And then just hours later, a story says that the CIA raided the DNI. Do you have any idea what the president's team must be thinking right now in China? Now you did this? Ladies and gentlemen, there is an active criminal case right now about this. Has anybody thought this? I can't understand this is where I'm like, you can't win with some of these people, the doomers and the we hate the Jews people. You just can't. On one hand, they're like, I can't believe nothing's happening. Then you have arrests and indictments that are happening, and you're like, I can't believe that's happening. We want to slow down what's happening by holding a hearing while the president's in China. I'm not telling you there are armed, but what if there are cooperators out there who are now watching all this stuff and are now getting spooked? Has anybody thought about this? The DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, and that office, you got to get control, man. It's not about you. You're not a legislator. You're not a judge. You're not in a separate branch of government. Congress wants to hold hearings, that is their purview. The Senate wants to hold hearings, that's their purview. We have separate and equal branches of government. Why? I don't understand. Again, my only beef with this whole thing is the timing of it. It was a total, complete distraction yesterday. The CIA raid story and all this. from the most important geopolitical meeting of our time. Your kid's future is quite literally, and you know I hate the freaking word literally because it's literally overused. It is quite literally the most important meeting this president has conducted, and we've got these stories floating around. I'm sorry, man, but I just try to avoid this stuff. But I didn't bust my ass over the past year trying to clean this place up, get results going, and try to enact the president's reform agenda, the border agenda, the violent crime agenda, the de-weaponization agenda, to just sit here and watch as a bunch of like bullshit news stories constantly leak out to the media. Oh, this person's effing us over. This person raided her. Nobody raided it. I don't know what you're talking about. We are dealing with unprecedented global threats. Unprecedented global threats. The president has your kid's entire future on his plate right now. We've got basically 2.5 years left of Donald Trump. I don't even know how to say it. The president with the biggest moose nuts in American history. That's the only way I know how to say it right now. You've got 2.5 years of this left. No more distractions. Get with the agenda or get out. Go get to the legislative branch. That's okay. You think the president doesn't know any of this? RWR777. Who's the leaker? I don't know, folks. I'm not in government anymore. I'm not. I don't know. I'm just telling you, like, I woke up this morning and I even told the guys. That's why I titled the show, like, what the hell's going on here? There's an active criminal investigation. Do you not know that? A lot of agendas, folks. A lot of agendas. And I'm going to tell you again, you have any idea how many times I had this impulse to kind of want to defend myself against the bullshit? It's not about you, man. It's not about you. Told them I'd do the year, did the year, and then you come out and you can say what you like. But this ain't right. It's not right. We're dealing with unprecedented threats right now. Unprecedented threats, meaning without precedent. There is nothing like this. There was not a nuclear weapon in World War I, the War of 1812, the Revolutionary War, and the beginning of World War II. We weren't dealing with massive cyber tools to shut down the grid. We weren't dealing with globalized trade like to the extent on the margin we are now. The president has got your life and your kids' lives in his hands right now in China. We didn't need this, man. And I'm going to tell you something. If you think that was like a really cool thing to do yesterday, just that's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're not a MAGA person. Just stop pretending. Stop pretending. Oh, Dan, enough for transparency. Oh, go fuck yourself. Are you shitting me? Are you for real? Do you have any idea what we did in there? How do you think these criminal investigations started? You're just full of shit. Ugh. Sorry about the language, man. I get it. I'm really usually I'm trying today. I had to just do Queen's Dan. I know I get it, man. I understand. Jasmine's very disappointed. She is. Jasmine's like, I've never heard Jasmine curse at all. It's amazing. Paula either. Well, one time. She was yelling at me for something. That was it. It was just once. I don't know what I did. But... All right, you tell you what. I got a lot more to get to. Like a lot more. I want to show you on the other side some of the unprecedented. Sober Jade, I'm sick of it too. Yeah, me too. Me too. President knows exactly what he's doing. Let's please stop pretending otherwise. Stop pretending like he doesn't know what he's doing and he's just this old man, the puppet man. You never worked for him, or if you did, you're just lying about him. Because that's not what I saw. All right, let me take a quick break here. And on the other side of this, I want to show you something I saw yesterday that is just so deeply disturbing, and it just kind of goes back to uncomfortable truths we have to talk about. You gotta, you're not gonna like what's coming up next, but you need it. You need to hear this. All right, quick break. Here's a question. How many brokers does it take to insure your business? The answer is probably too many. It was for us, so I was really happy to find SuperSure as a service. If you're like most business owners like me, the answer is way too many. Multiple policies, multiple applications, same information over and over, no clear view of how it all fits together. And when questions come up, it's not easy to get the clarity you need. SuperSure, they change all of that. One broker for all of your business needs. Your business insurance backed by a team that works with you year-round, not just at renewal. And if you've ever stared at a policy wondering what it actually says, you're looking at the fine print, you're like, what does it say there? SuperSure has a fine print fax tool that translates the legal jargon into plain English, so you know what's covered and what's not. Right now, you can go to supersure.com/Bongino and get a full report on your current policies with no obligation. Find out if you're overinsured, if you're underinsured, or somewhere in between. Go to supersure.com/Bongino. It's one super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. Save yourself some time. Time is money, right? Go to supersure.com/Bongino. That's supersure.com/Bongino, paid for by Supersure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency. Consult with a licensed insurance producer to discuss coverage options for your specific business needs. Today's show also brought to you by, if you're in the business space and you're looking for people, like I just said, time is money. Wasted time is wasted money. Go to ZipRecruiter. Let me tell you about someone I hired not long ago. On paper, they were qualified, but what sold me was how interested they were in the role. They asked smart questions. They wanted to learn more about the business, and it was obvious they wanted to work with the team. You could feel the excitement, the enthusiasm made the decision really, really easy. If you're hiring, you want that same passion for your business, but you can't see it from a resume alone. Resumes don't tell the whole story unless you post your job on ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Bongino. It's a great business tool. ZipRecruiter's matching technology helps you find qualified candidates fast, and they have a new feature that shows the most interested qualified candidates first. So you can meet the right people faster and not waste time. Candidates can explain in their own words why they're interested. No wonder ZipRecruiter is top rated by employers on G2. Find candidates who really want your job. Don't waste any more time. Go to ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Bongino. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Bongino. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Thanks, ZipRecruiter. We appreciate it. Folks, as I said before, this isn't the time for screwing around and leaks to the media and fake news stories. And all. This is not the time for that. Let the president come back from China, get together, and we can all kind of walk through things. What happened on the trip, how we're going to handle it. But we are dealing with an unprecedented threat. And there are a group of people out there with an agenda who want to they want to soften the threat. You got your pro-China people out there. Well, they're really only interested in global trade. No, they're not. President Trump fully understands we have to deal with China. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to give up and wave the white flag. We don't want to start a nuclear war with them, but we still have to be tough. There are people who want to take the edge off that. There's also a group of people, and they were on the left, but now some of them are trying to infiltrate their way into our tent. Some of them expose themselves. I already said they were Democrats. However, there are some of these people out there who are trying to soften the edge of both the Iranian terrorists, Shia and Sunni terrorists, and Hamas, and claim somehow that, these are just freedom fighters, they're political organizations, all that stuff. Oh, really? Hamas? Are we sure about that? There's a fascinating story in the Wall Street Journal that came out yesterday. It's a new report issued about the October 7th tragedy. And I want to read to you in all its horror. If there are kids around, you may want to turn off the show right now. Here is the truth about Hamas. They put out this report about the rape, torture, and all the physical atrocities that went on October 7th. And yet people are still denying what happened then. Here's a quote from Roz Cohen, who was there. Quote, I saw them raping her. He was at the Nova Music Festival where 396 people were slaughtered. Roz Cohen also said, then they murdered her. And then they raped her again. Eden Wesley, who came to the music festival to rescue a friend, found and filmed a naked burned body. Quote, her dress was pulled up and she wasn't wearing underwear. Not because it burned, because there was no trace. Her legs were spread, her genitals were exposed. A review by forensic pathologists confirmed these details, because I know there's the Jew haters out there who are going to say, oh, we're just making that up. Hamas is great. They're just freedom fighters. Really? Raping dead bodies? We're raping dead people? That's you. What about raping men too? Raping men too? That happened? Yeah, that happened. These are freedom fighters? A male says he was gang raped at the festival site, providing medical records and a detailed account. I thought they were making this stuff up. These are your freedom fighters? They laughed, he said. They were really pleased, as if I was their sex doll. The Hamas invaders had been given operational materials. Listen to this, including Arabic to Hebrew phrases, lists, like they had little cards ready to go for the raping. Here were some of the Arabic to Hebrew phrases, so everybody knew what the Hamas terrorist scumbag demon dog savages were doing. Here were some of the phrases, quote, take off your pants / take your clothes off, quote, lie down, and quote, spread your legs. The planned sexual degradation speaks to years of Palestinian propaganda that treats Jews as subhuman. You're a typical freedom fighter, I guess, right? That make you a little bit uncomfortable? You see what we're dealing with these Islamo fanatics? They have Arabic to Hebrew index cards to prepare themselves for the raping of the men and the women. They're your freedom fighters? Let me tell you something to all the fucksticks on the other side. When you're given the choice between savages and civilization, you'll never go wrong with civilization. I know I've got a lot to answer for in front of the pearly gates, believe me. I'm not your moral compass, and if you think so, you're making a huge mistake. But I know for sure, and I'm not certain about a lot, but I know for sure that I'm on the right side of this one. Index cards. They had little index cards ready to go, just in case people who only spoke Hebrew didn't understand what they were telling them to do before the raping and the killing and the decapitations. You see the video with the shovel and the heads? You probably looked that up. You're freedom fighters, right? Folks, these are the real fights right now, not fake news stories about raids or whatever the hell you want to call it. Why are we wasting time on this? Why are we wasting time on this? And I applaud the DNI's office for correcting the record at least. But we need to find out who leaked that, exactly who leaked that. Because this is a big deal, because we're fighting a real enemy right now. And if you think for a second, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and this growing problem of anti-Semitic violence is just going to go away on its own. People said that before, and it didn't end well. I'm not sitting on any sidelines ever. And you can rage up the foreign bot army. We're used to it. We've heard it all before. We get it. I've seen every single thing. We get it. We get it. You want to become like these guys on the left? I told you in the beginning of the show, it's a time for choosing. It's not a time for meandering around. It's not a time for letting the other guy handle it. I want to applaud Lawrence Jones. Just put that media thing up for a second. Lawrence Jones from Fox for taking a stand. Lawrence Jones, a good man, host of Fox and Friends. Deep-seated cancer. Fox's Lawrence Jones sounds off on right-wing anti-Semitism. They're trying to walk into our tent, man, throw a grenade in there. Don't let them do it. You want to be like these guys? Here's a CNN report about a left-wing former rich kid lunatic, Hassan Piker, total bag. He can say what he wants, by the way. But I want this guy's like a hero on the left. You want this guy and guys like them to start in, what they call the horseshoe theory, where eventually parties unite around hating people, whether in the past, whether it was people who are black or Hispanic or Jewish or whatever it is. You want people to unite. And by the way, it applies to Muslims too. They deserve to be treated like human beings. I'm not trying to, do this whole milquetoast thing. You know how I started this segment. But this applies to any group of people. Collective anger at a group of people is an entryway into mass violence and mass death. Collective anger. You are responsible for other people just because of skin color, religion, whatever it is. That is the entryway and the ticket to death and destruction every single time. Here's a CNN report about Hassan Piker. Keep in mind what I just showed you about the rapes, the rape index cards, the women found with their legs spread, burned beyond recognition, the men who were raped, the men by multiple freedom fighters, or whatever you want to call them, you lunatics on the left. Listen to the CNN report. This guy, you want a guy like this in our tent? Nah. I told you it's going to be an uncomfortable show. I'm sorry, but this is the syrup of Ipecac we all need. Check this out.
Here's some of what he actually has said about the depravity of the October 7th terror attack, the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Quote, "It doesn't matter if effing rapes happened on October 7th. That doesn't change the dynamic for me. The Palestinian resistance is not perfect." Now, let that sink in. Hassan Piker is excusing sexual violence by Hamas terrorists. He also claims Hamas is, quote, 1,000 times better than Israel. Hamas is a designated terror organization, not just by the U.S., but by the EU, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, just to name a few. And here's what Piker said about the horrors of September 11th, 2001.
America deserved 9/11, dude. F it. I'm saying it. We fucking totally brought it on ourselves, dude. Holy shit. We did. We fucking did.
Fuck you, pussy. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself, chump. You deserve 9/11? We deserve 9/11. It doesn't matter if rape happens. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Pussy. Really? I dare you to go into a little event. Go to like a smoker with a bunch of cops and firemen there. And get in the middle of the ring at the smoker and tell that to a bunch of the cops and firemen, keeping your stupid ass safe, you fucking pussy. Go ahead, go do it. Tell them 9/11. We deserved it. Try it. Show some balls. Grow a pair of moose nuts. Try it. I'd like to see how that works out for you. You seem to be okay with violence and all. I mean, you just said it doesn't matter if rapes happen. I promise you it matters to the people who were raped and murdered and their families. You ever been bent over with a rape card, Hassan? I hope not. I don't wish violence on anyone. And I'll tell you what, if it happened to you, I certainly wouldn't be on the air saying it doesn't matter if rape happened. I'd be the one calling out. I don't care who did it. That's what you are. That's what you are. Pampered little rich asshole. Sitting there with your little leftist buddies campaigning with this Zero, who apparently is a physician, who's been telling people he's like a big physician guy, but then has not really done a lot of is anything that's not really done a lot of like clinical work on patients or something. He's campaigning with you, this candidate for Senate in Michigan. This is what we want in the midterms. We want a bunch of crazy people because we don't want to show up because Donald Trump is on the ballot. You want to elect a guy campaigning with this asshole? Folks, I'm sorry, man. I'm not letting this movement fall apart, man. I'm not letting it move. I don't care if the audience dwindles to zero. I don't. I hope it, but I don't care more than I care about not letting this movement fall prey to a bunch of ravenous, rabid dogs. When given the option of savages and civilization, you'll never go wrong with civilization. Folks, we got choices coming up. I'm telling you, and I'll get into this with Congressman Brandon Gill in just a few minutes. Not every candidate running around the country in November on the Republican ticket is a diehard conservative. Hello, Captain Obvious. I get that. But when the primaries are over, you have a binary choice. This is not Romper Room or Sesame Street or freaking Teletubbies or the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is the real world. And in the real world, you have a binary choice. In some districts, it's a really shitty Republican versus a communist Democrat who's going to turn over chairmanships to Democrats if they win the majority, impeach President Trump, and basically let people like Hassan Piker's influence infect the entire U.S. Congress. You got to vote, man. You got to vote. Sometimes your choices are level 10 decisions too. You have a shitty choice in some of these districts in a not so great Republican or a communist Democrat or a Democrat who's going to empower communists. That's it. That's the only choice you have. The time for these fights is in the primary. That's the time. We are dealing with level 10 crises right now. You want people like this guy running a chairmanship? I'm going to give you the worst example possible because it's going to matter. You've got a Republican out there in your district, whatever, East Tuna Fish District 6. It doesn't matter. Candidate John Smith. He's a wishy-washy Republican who's only with us half the time. I get it. He wins his primary, even by 1 or 2 votes. And everybody's pissed off. I can't believe we're stuck. I'm pissed off too. I wish we would have had a more conservative guy. He's running against a Democrat who goes and campaigns with Hassan Piker like 9/11 doesn't matter or whatever he said there. We deserved it, even worse. That's your choices? I'll take the guy who got half the time over this dipshit. And then even worse is if that one guy determines the House majority. Let's say you don't vote for not so great Republican John Smith in protest and you elect Democrat Jane Smith. And that one vote determines control of the House. You may think I was only voting in my district. No, you didn't. You just voted to hold turn the entire House of Representatives and the chairmanships and subpoena power over to lunatics like this. Here's Ted Lieu yesterday. Ted Lieu, lunatic leftist. You want this guy sitting in the chairmanship spot? Talking about extreme measures, talking about packing the court. This is what happens if you do not vote Republican in protest. You're going to get Donald Trump impeached, and you're going to get a bunch of crazy people subpoenaing some of you to appear in front of Congress because you dared abide by the Constitution. Check this out.
This is a radical Supreme Court that is making decisions simply to benefit Republicans. It's going to usher in massive Supreme Court reform when Democrats take control, and that will be because of the actions of extreme political actor John Roberts in this partisan Supreme Court.
Extreme actions? He's openly talking about packing the Supreme Court. I just played for you a video the other day of Obama talking in 2020 about packing the court, D.C. statehood, Puerto Rican statehood. Folks, you understand what your country's going to look like? I get we're going to get stuck with some turkeys in Congress. I get it. I get it. Not everyone's going to be Brandon Gill. Not everyone's going to be a Mike Lee. You're not going to have that everywhere. But I tell you what you are going to have. A political baseball bat to the side of the head when you elect Democrats like Ted Lieu, who go back to re-weaponizing everything we just spent the last year trying to clean up. You want this guy as Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries? Listen to this guy. Already going back to, it's Jim Crow. I mean, this is all Obama identity politics, left-wing identity politics. You want this guy running the House because you're protesting a vote somewhere? No, that's not a thing, man. That's not a thing. Check this out.
Because we know this unprecedented assault on black political representation, the likes of which we have not seen since the Jim Crow era, The ghost of the Confederacy has afflicted the United States Supreme Court majority and is invading and haunting the nation right now, and we take that seriously, which is why Democrats are committed to launching a decisive and overwhelming response in advance of the 2028 election.
A decisive and overwhelming response. What do you think he's talking about? You think he's talking about a snowball fight? He's talking about completely hijacking the judicial branch through packing the courts, hijacking the legislative branch through adding states that will reliably vote Democrat with 2 Democrat senators. He's talking about massive voting changes to the system to ensure fraud dominates the election, census changes so we can count illegals, open borders to let tens and millions more in. It will change the country forever. There will be no getting it back. Why did he sound like, Manichaean fights? Because they are. We didn't ask for this fight. Republicans just want to be left alone. Let me pay my taxes for the military and the roads, keep them low and reasonable. Give me good police officers and, a decent federal workforce. Give me a strong military, a nice court system in case, businesses are, start to take advantage of us, and just get the out of my life, man. I'm muting myself now after this show, which is hilarious. We didn't ask for this fight. Make elections fair, ask people to show up and just show and it's actually them voting. We didn't ask for this stuff. Give our kids a decent school. You're the ones on the Democrat side constantly encroaching on our values. Now, do you want Hakeem Jeffries or do you want Ted Lieu? Because make no mistake, even if your congressman sucks, post-primary, because pre-primary, get him out. Get a more conservative person in there. Please. I've had my own beefs with these guys. However, post-primary, your congressman can be Joey Bag of Sucks. Joey Bag of Sucks could be the worst Republican congressman ever. If the Democrat gets in there and he's the one person who tips the balance of the House, Hakeem Jeffries is the speaker, the Democrats control everything. The entire House. Do you want them in chairmanship spots? It's a simple question. Or do you want this guy? He's coming up in a few minutes. Congressman Brandon Gill. Here he is up there. This is the kind of guy we have out there. We can get this guy in chairmanship roles, even if your guy's not that great. It's not just about your race. It's about control of the entire House. Got him coming up in a minute, but I wanted to show you this on. He's questioning this Capitol Hill guest up there about, quote, scientific spending, and I had to use the air quotes, on LGBTQIA, 1+, IAA, ABC, DEF, 2+ spirit. I've lost track of all the boys, transgender, pregnancy. You watch it yourself. Even he has to because he doesn't even know he can't even figure this thing out. Check this out.
Adapting an LGB+ inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I am not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and pharmaceutical
teen pregnancy
research.
for transgender boys. Do you think that is a useful spend of our tax dollars?
I think government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance.
Including pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. Okay.
All I ask is post-primary. Listen to me. Post-primary. That is important. Even if your guy's not that great or your woman. Guys like that are. And if we lose the majority, being in the minority in the House, ask your congressman, what's it like to be in a minority? It sucks. It sucks. Control of the floor, control of the entire passing of the bill process, control of subpoena power, it all goes away. President Trump will be impeached. Folks, why are you trying to scare us? Because some people need to be scared because they don't understand what to think. My guy just sucks. I'm going to stay home. It's not about your guy. Post-primary, it's about control of the entire House. It's like if cabinet members had to undergo an election. They obviously don't, but I want to make a point here. It's like you don't like the VA secretary. I'll just throw something out. He's great, but you don't like him. So you don't vote for Donald Trump in the presidential. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Folks, we don't have to live like this, okay? We don't have to live like this. Please don't become the left. Conspiracy theories, but this anti-Semitic bullshit, creating a bunch of stupid people, victim classes, identity politics, people in boxes, union, non-union, Muslim, Jew, everybody fight each other like it's a freaking steel cage match in the old school WWE. We have agency, and so does Donald Trump. God has blessed every one of you with this thing in your skull, a cerebral cortex, a medulla oblongata, and a cerebellum, and it's the most powerful computer on earth. Should tell you something, that we've been around quite a long time, and despite all the energy we can muster and all the human collective brain power in the history of sentient beings, we still haven't been able to replicate the power of one human brain. If that doesn't speak to you, to the omnipotent power of God, I don't know what does. Why can't we recreate this? It's just a bunch of neurons, right? Maybe it's something more special. You have agency. You have control, and so does President Trump. Stop with the nonsense. Stop with the leftist stuff. Stop with all this bullshit. Educate your kids. Teach your children well, as I said. Education is the only way out. Please don't fall down this rat hole. Folks, never fall into traps set by others. And yesterday was a trap. And a lot of people fell for it. Find a way out immediately. There are a bunch of people out there pulling you into an information bullshit vortex. Please don't fall for it. Use that God-given most powerful computer, your brain. Use it and say, am I being played right now? I want to show you this video I found yesterday on X. It's kind of, I think, like an AI-generated video, but it's good. Conveniently about rats and how you should never fall into traps set by others. There's a reason people are doing this. They're throwing a grenade in our tent, so we, all of us, start attacking each other. Don't fall for it. Scrutinize everything. Check this out.
A farmer threw a dead pig into a dry well. After a short while, 70 or 80 mice jumped into the well to eat it. After finishing the meat, they realized that the walls of the well were so steep that it was impossible to climb out. Within a few days, hunger turned the well into hell. To survive, the mice began killing and eating each other. After half a month, only one mouse remained in the well, its eyes red like blood. Then the farmer lowered a rope, pulled the mouse out, and released it back into the field. Did the farmer's heart melt? Not at all. Because this mouse had become used to eating its own kind, it no longer ate grain. Instead, it started hunting other mice like a mad creature. This is called the divide plan. Those sitting at the top do not fight themselves. They simply create an environment where the people below begin fighting each other and eventually destroy one another. And the truth is, many people spend their entire lives trying to defeat others without realizing that they themselves have already become part of someone else's game. So never fall into traps created by others, and if you do get trapped, don't fight. Find a way to get out.
Your way out is just to always seek the truth. And I'm not trying to be like Emily Dickinson here, folks, or Plato. I literally mean find the truth. Go out and do just a tad bit of homework on it, and you'll find out that a lot of this stuff you're being told is total bullshit, meant to divide us all, because people have their own agenda for the midterms in 2028 and elsewhere. Fine. Then don't work for the president, because it's not your time. It's his time. And I'm going to tell you something, having worked for this president. This is the most transformative president I've seen since I was young and Ronald Reagan. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a guy with moose testicles like this in my life. We've got 2.5 years, and I want every day of the Trump presidency. I don't want any more distractions. And I don't give a shit how many rage bot armies you sick on me and our supporters. We are still the largest MAGA show out there. And I'm telling you, like, that's for a reason. Because the people who listen to the show don't want your bullshit or your distractions. They believe in accountability, and they should. They believe in results. But the president's producing results every single day. What the hell you think he's doing over there in China right now? What do you think he is, dicking around? What do you think he's doing, sitting around watching reruns of Happy Days? Lucky Trump, right. You think he's just lucky? All of this shit is just luck? Lucky Trump. Jobs numbers great. Lucky Trump. Border shut down. Lucky Trump. Crime rate lowest in U.S. history. Lucky Trump. We finally got China to talk with us about this stuff rather than nuclear war. Lucky Trump. Maduro's in prison. Lucky Trump. Iranian mullah's dead. Lucky Trump again. I mean, I learned something new every day about Lucky Trump. I found out the other day. I was today years old when I found out that mass deportations weren't going on. That's news to me because the left-wing media, when we were over at the FBI, was complaining about assets we had dedicated to big mass deportation efforts. It was so weird. I saw it. You didn't see shit. I don't know what you're talking about. This is the nothing is happening trap being set for you by people up top dumping the dead pig in the well, hoping you jump in. Don't jump in the well. It's a trap. Thank you, Dan. Spinning top in the chat. Don't thank me, folks. I promise. I'm nobody's hero here. I mean it. It's not like humble brags. I am not anybody's hero. I'm just a guy who loves the country. I don't do this for the money. I'm a capitalist. I like to pay my team. It's a business. However, they can tell you as well, I don't need to be here. I could go live my life and sit on the beach and watch freaking reruns of Happy Days. But I love this place. That's why I went back to serve. I'm not watching this movement fucking fall apart like this because of bullshit. I'm sorry. It's not happening, man. And I'm just begging you, please, ignore the rage bots. It's all AstroTurf bullshit to get you like a rat to jump in the well and eat the pig. You're never getting out. You're never getting out. I want to talk. There's so much more I want to say, but there's a process going on with this stuff. And it's not fair to do that. I didn't exit the administration to come out and to be like the data point guy. The data point. What is it? I don't know. And just don't take the job. Just cut the shit, man. And do me a favor, too. I just told you, I'm not your moral compass. I can't say this enough. I'm nobody's hero. I'm not above accountability myself at all. You don't like something here in the show? Let us know, man. But I think it's really important we anchor ourselves not in the small g false gods of the state. It's really important we anchor ourselves in higher values. It's really important that we stay anchored as a country in truth. Whatever your religion is, I'm a Christian. I love Jesus, and Jesus loves me, and I say it every morning, despite my failures. You're not beyond salvation, folks. You're not beyond salvation. No matter how bad of a thing you've done, you're not beyond salvation. I'm not your preacher either, but you are not beyond salvation. If there is a God, and I certainly believe there is, and there's one bedrock principle of what that God is, it's truth. Because evil starts with the lie. M. Scott Peck has a book, I believe he's since passed, but it's an amazing. He wrote The Road Less Traveled, which sold probably like 100 million copies, who knows. But he wrote another book called People of the Lie. I did not publish the book. It's been out forever. I have no financial interest in it whatsoever. Read it. Go pick it up on wherever you get your books. Read People of the Lie by M. Scott Peck. And you'll see how evil starts with the lie and festers like a virus Truth is the opposite of that. I just want you to listen. This is a clip from TBN. You know that band Korn? Unbelievably popular. They put on quite a show. People who watch Korn shows are just, it's like the Grateful Dead. Like they'll follow them around the country. This was a really surprising clip I saw yesterday. I got to tell you, it caught me totally off guard. But I want you to listen to this powerful testimony. And remember that there are two sides. There is a yin and a yang and two sides of this coin of morality. There's the people of the lie and the people of the truth. And whenever you find religion and that spiritual marker, I promise, if it ain't anchored in truth, and get rid of that religion right away. Listen to this.
I'm a shell walking around with nothing of substance inside. And I got all kinds of money in the bank, but I just don't want to wake up when I go to sleep. I just wish that I could just stay asleep. And the only thing that made me want to breathe and live was my daughter. So I'm thinking, I just need to get off the drugs, and so I could just be the best person I could be for her. Mm-hmm. But then I would have the thoughts when I get back on the drugs or do another line, and that would wear off, I would think, man, she's better off without me. When they asked me to come to church, I'm like, you know, all I was thinking was like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons, you know? And it's like, and then I get there and I hear about this Jesus Christ who's real, the Son of God who was here and, you know, died on the cross and raised from the dead and came and would come to live inside of me. Man, the pastor was so cool there. He was in jeans and a regular shirt. He didn't look like holier than thou. And he just said, look, man, if you're on drugs, if you're messed up, if you have a bad marriage, you're alcoholic, you come to church while you're messed up.
Yeah.
Bring all your garbage here, and God will come in and clean you out, you know? So it was like non-judgmental. So I was just like, I raised my hand and I went home and I started praying to God like I had been a Christian for 20 years. I was desperate.
Wow.
I kept going. I was high on meth going to church, you know, and I'm like, I would tell God, like, I want to get off this stuff. You know, my daughter deserves a better father, and I want to be what she deserves.
That's Brian Welch from Korn. You're not beyond salvation. Listen to me. You're not beyond salvation. All those folks out there listening to the show, maybe by mistake. Maybe you thought you were tuning into John Bon Jovi and you hit Dan Bongino by accident. Happens all the time. Then you're like, man, he's not nearly as good looking as John Bon Jovi. I don't have his money either, but maybe you're here by mistake. But this isn't a mistake. I screw up all the time. But I know God wanted me to tell you this. You're not beyond salvation. If I'm not beyond salvation, you're not beyond salvation either. That kind of stung. All right, get it together, man. Just remember, man, the truth matters. The truth matters. That was a great clip to watch. I had heard of Korn, but I have to tell you, I saw that yesterday on X, just blown away. If Brian Welch can go to church with a meth problem, high on meth, saying, God, take this away from me, I promise, like, you're not beyond salvation either. All right. Whew. Man, this is like the heaviest show. Jasmine's like, are you going to be okay? I don't know. I don't think so. This is one of those shows I go home and I sleep like a baby at night. It's not a physical exertion show, but now you understand why the show had a lot of uncomfortable truths in it. All right. I'm going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to get to an interview I'm really looking forward to. Congressman Brandon Gill is really one of the good guys. It's important we support the good guys. Yes, accountability always matters for me and everyone else. But when people are doing good things, I want to make sure to put them on the show and make sure you hear about what they're doing too. Folks, you know, Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery. I use them with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers, me included. Mine are still flowering, doing fantastic. They have all the plants your garden and your home needs. I have some indoor plants as well, including fruit trees, privacy trees. Matter of fact, the fruit tree at the house I sold, I moved. Well, it's still, I drove by the other day, it's still rocking and rolling. Privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and houseplants. Whatever you're looking for, fast-growing trees helps you find options that actually work for your climate, space, and lifestyle. It was super important for me. I'm down here in South Florida. You have to make sure like it's specific to your area, and fast-growing trees can help you out with it. They make it super easy. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show, they get 20% off. It's a big savings. Their first purchase when using the code Dan, my first name, at checkout. That's an additional 20% off better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com. Use the code Dan, my first name, at checkout. Check them out. Their products are amazing. Mine are still going. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code Dan. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use Dan to save today. I would give you the address to go look by the old house, but I don't live there anymore. You can look at the fruit tree, the lemon tree yourself. It's doing great, and I've been gone a long time. Use code Dan at fastgrowingtrees.com. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Welcoming back to the show, I really hope he becomes a regular, just a rock star up on the Hill. Guy's been doing a great job. I told you that earlier before the interview. Congressman Brandon Gill from Texas, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I know you've been pushing hard on this massive government fraud initiative. I want to get to that in a second, but just a few opening questions first about the news of the week and the month so far. Ted Lieu, a congressman I just genuinely don't like. It's not personal. I never met him. Some of the stuff he says and does is just ridiculous. I played a clip of him earlier in the show, and they're basically just going for it now. They're implying, quote, extreme measures. He directly said that explicitly, but then they're implying they're going to pack the courts. Congressman, there's really no time in the remaining months we have until the midterms to recognize who we're really fighting politically. They're not screwing around. They're just going to go for it if they win.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Whenever somebody tells you who they are in a very straightforward way, I mean, it is wise to believe them. And Democrats actually have talked for several years now about their desire to pack the courts. They think that the rule of law is something that for them is too right-wing and would like to undermine our constitutional system by completely transforming the Supreme Court so that it does essentially whatever they want, so that it becomes a political arm of the Democrat Party. And they're saying so pretty bluntly now. In the past, I think Democrats would try to walk around the issue or try to not say it, at least not as clearly, what they were hoping to do with the courts. But I think they're very straightforward now. If they get in power, if they were able to get a trifecta like Republicans have, we should fully expect Democrats to pack the courts. And that's something, whenever you know what the other side is going to do, I think that should inform the way that we play politics now.
Congressman, obviously every member of the House is up every 2 years, you as well. I think personally this should be in every single portfolio of campaign ads on the Republican side, their own words, because you know how it is. I mean, the president has a magnetic pull for voters. When he's on the ballot, you've seen it. The numbers are ridiculous. People show up who've never voted before. People show up who've never voted Republican before. Republicans who haven't voted in 20 years show up. Unfortunately, some of those people aren't showing up in the midterms. That's just the data. It's not my opinion. It's just a fact. But when you see ads like Spencer Pratt's running in LA, and I don't know Spencer, but the ads have been just amazing. That contrast. Here's what it looks like under current Democrat leadership. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm stunned how many candidates don't do this. And that's why I say, we should play the Democrats' own words. Obama talking about making Puerto Rico and D.C. a state in 2020. Ted Lieu, extreme measures. Guys, if you don't show up and vote, this is what's going to happen.
Oh, exactly. Packing the Supreme Court, D.C. statehood, Puerto Rico statehood, things that they know will rig the Senate in their favor. Mass amnesty for illegal aliens. Open borders again. Soft on crime policies in American cities. More spending that drives inflation and makes the cost of living significantly more difficult for Americans across the country. I mean, that's the America that we're going to live in if Democrats do take control again. I think that the goal for the Democrat Party is for the entire country to look just like San Francisco and some of the worst parts of New York City look right now, where you've got strung out drug addicts covering the streets who are getting massive amounts of welfare, whether they're legal or not, taxpayer funded transgender surgeries for illegal aliens and for children. These are the types of social policies that the Democrats have pushed in areas where they do have control. And whenever you give them control of the rest of the country, that's exactly what we should expect. And I think that we need to be straightforward with voters about that and call this out. Because whenever you ask Democrats in a clear way, do you believe, for instance, that tax dollars should be used to pay for transgender surgeries for minors, just to use that as an example? Very few of them will tell you no. Most of them do. And they don't want to be clear about that because they know it's insane. They know it's nuts, and most people won't want anything to do with them. But that is their ideological view, and that is the view of their base who is driving these primary elections in Democrat districts across the country. And that's the direction we're going to go if they take control.
We're talking to Congressman Brandon Gill, for those listening on Apple and Spotify. Congressman, this kind of segues nicely to an initiative you've really proudly taken on, and I'm proud of you for doing it. The government fraud initiative with Vice President Vance. We've seen the Nick Shirley videos. Unfortunately, the Nick Shirley videos are probably just a microcosm of a massive scale problem. I want to bring this up in terms of a video I played of you earlier in the show where you were questioning a woman on LGBTQIA1+. I've lost track spirit that they added a few extras. I was like indigenous. I think you lost track of it too, because I don't even know all the fake labels they make up. But they want to spend U.S. government money on, quote, science of transgender boys' pregnancies, something. It's so ridiculous. I played the video. I don't even remember. It was so crazy. But all right, maybe that's not the classic definition of criminal fraud. But in the eyes of my listeners, that's fraud too.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And, I think it was pregnancy prevention for transgender teen boys, if I can remember right.
Right.
And at the time, whenever I was asking, I couldn't even refrain from laughing because it's so absurd. But what we're working on is, I do believe that is not only a borderline fraudulent use of tax dollars, but it's an abuse of the American people. It's an abuse of the people who go to work every day in honest paying jobs and make a living and send tax dollars to the federal government every single year and expect those tax dollars to be used for the benefit of the American people, not to fund left-wing social experiments that, by the way, are morally repugnant to the vast majority of people in our country. But what's happened recently is Chairman Comer on the House Oversight Committee, which I sit on, has formed a task force on defending constitutional rights and exposing institutional abuses. I'm going to chair this task force, and we've got a broad mandate to go after institutions, both in civil society and in government, that are abusing the American people and trampling on our constitutional rights. And that could be anything from government agencies that are laundering tax dollars to NGOs that are laundering our tax dollars to woke institutions, or businesses who are engaged, for instance, in discriminatory hiring practices, who are saying we're not going to hire this person because he's a white male, or colleges and universities that are doing the same, entities that are abusing our immigration system. It's a very broad mandate here. But we're beginning the work on this task force by going after this fraud scandal in Ohio. So we saw what was happening in Minnesota with the Somali community there. The reality is there is Medicaid fraud and welfare fraud across the country. And I think that the next stop for us is Ohio, where you've got hundreds of shell LLCs that have been created for the purpose of laundering Medicaid money to a variety of causes that we have no proof of. So, for instance, you have a doctor who will write a Medicaid waiver to a family member of an ostensible patient. And what they're getting that money for, what they're getting that Medicaid money for, is home health services, which includes companionship and conversation. So you can get paid to go talk to your mother if she's 80 years old at her house. Well, for this program, there's no verification that anybody who's enrolled in it has any medical training. There's no verification that any of these services are actually provided at all, and there's no cap on the spending. And a lot of these LLCs that are facilitating these payments and acting as intermediaries and are making a lot of money off of this are shady, to say the least. So we believe that there's about probably $1 billion a year that's being wasted in this program and being defrauded from taxpayers. So we've requested documents, information, and communication from the Ohio Medicaid Department, as well as from the Bureau of Program Integrity in Ohio, and from many of these shell organizations who are facilitating this payment. And we're going to run a full investigation and get down to the bottom of it.
Congressman, you on the legislative side, it is so important. You, Chairman Comer, the vice president, separate branch of government, but that kind of leadership is critical. You know that. It's a massive bullhorn from the executive office of the president there to have that. We need that. I've been very candid even the last time you were here and we discussed this topic. The old, big government, liberal, and kind of weak-kneed Republican model before this administration got in there was pay and chase. Just give them the money. Don't worry about the vetting, and we can always chase it down later. I've been brutally honest with people. My experience over the last years, there is not enough agents for this. Just do the math. There's 30,000 plus FBI employees, not agents. Working-wise, not counting managers, people out sick, people overseas in foreign offices, counterterror, CI, violent crime. There's probably 1,000, maybe just a little bit more available around the world to chase this stuff down. 1,000, there's probably 1,000 cases in Ohio alone through years of just lax vetting in this process. Thank God there are people like you out there, and I'm not using his name in vain, who are now saying, hey, man, we got to look at this from the legislative side too. Yep. Hearings, congressional subpoenas, legislation, new vetting process. You don't fix it there, there's not enough people to chase them. That's just a hard truth.
That's exactly right, and that's why we're going to use the full investigatory power that we have on the Oversight Committee to bring people in for hearings, to subpoena people, to subpoena documents, so that we can build a case here. And the goal with all of this is not simply to expose waste, fraud, and abuse or improper activity or abuses of the American people. It's to stop it from happening in the future. So that means we would like to make, where applicable and where the facts lead us, we would like to make criminal referrals to the DOJ, but we also want to make policy recommendations for the broader Republican conference to take up that can help reduce the amount of fraud that happens in the future. Because to your point, we certainly want the bad guys to go to jail. If you've been defrauding American taxpayers, we need justice. But in order to stop this from happening in the future, we need real change to a lot of our welfare system, or this is going to continue happening. And we cannot be looking at this on the back end, year in and year out, over and over again. We need to stop it from happening in the first place. And that is going to require a legislative fix. And that's why, by the way, it's also incredibly important that we're able to keep control of the House so that we can continue doing this work next year and so that we can actually get some of these reforms codified into law.
Can you wait, a couple of points here? Just having, I think you'd agree, having Vice President Vance in charge of this brings a massive megaphone. Just kind of said that before. But you see the difference, the foil between him and former Vice President Harris. Remember when she was the border czar? Like, have you ever been to the border? She was like, no, but I've never been to Europe. Like, she didn't even go to the border. Vice President Vance's been in charge of this thing for what, a month? He's already done multiple press conferences. He's in Ohio yesterday. The FBI is up to something like 100 plus convictions in Minnesota. We just did raids out in LA. I'm sure there's operations going on in Ohio and elsewhere. Like, I'm not telling you the work is done, but you see just the leadership difference between the Republicans in charge now and the Democrats at the border. It's just so obvious.
Oh, it's like night and day. And the difference is a party who actually cares about solving these problems and one whose goal is to exacerbate these problems. I mean, the goal of the Democrat Party on immigration for 4 years was to keep the borders open and bring in as many illegal aliens as possible. Our goal now, as Republicans in power, is one, on immigration, to close the border and deport illegal aliens, but on fraud is, again, to make sure this doesn't happen again in the future and to make sure the bad guys get thrown in jail. And, you've seen already direct action from the vice president announcing that if you are a state, because remember, one of the problems with a lot of these programs is that you have programs that are administered by states, but they're funded by the federal government. So there's an incentive misalignment. That the actors at the state level oftentimes don't have the incentive to make sure that tax dollars are spent wisely because it's federal money, not state money. And what Vice President Vance is saying is that if you're not going to take fraud seriously, we're not just going to keep writing you blank checks for every social program you guys want to promote. We're done doing that. You've got to steward tax dollars appropriately. And I think that message is unique and it's novel, and it's something that I think most Americans, the vast majority of Americans, agree with.
We're talking to Congressman Brandon Gill from Texas. Congressman, can you walk my audience through? I don't think they understand how important. They do. I don't mean to talk down to you guys get it, but you're an insider. I'm not. I was not an elected member of Congress. Gave it a shot. Didn't work out. Did work out for you. If we lose the majority, it's not just a matter of like losing votes that make it to the floor. You lose the chairmanships too. So can you just explain to the audience like how devastating that is? All of this stuff you're talking about, subpoena power, all of it, hauling people in front of Congress for investigations that are long overdue. That's all controlled by far left Democrats like Ted Lieu now, not by Congressman Brandon Gill or Comer anymore. It's not just a matter of even if we're down by one seat, it doesn't matter. The chairmanships are wiped out. You guys become ranking members instead.
That's exactly. Democrats have one more seat than Republicans. They have total control of the House floor. And that doesn't just mean, to your point, bills. It doesn't just mean that we get Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, who is a complete left-wing lunatic. It means that Democrats have control of committees like the House Judiciary Committee and the House Oversight Committee, both of which I sit on, both of which have full investigatory powers and subpoena powers and the powers to hold hearings and to compel witnesses to come before Congress, the power to subpoena documents and information and communications from any entity basically that they want to. Now, this is a power that you've seen the left weaponize against conservatives pretty aggressively in the past, and it's one that we are using right now to get to the bottom of massive fraud schemes across the country. But all of that work that we're doing to end fraud, to end the improper stewarding of tax dollars, all of the work that we're doing to expose the corruption under the Biden administration for 4 years, all of that will be done. We will not be able to continue that work if we lose control of the House, because Democrats will have control. They're going to use both of those committees to do nothing but investigate and weaponize those committees to go after every member of the president's cabinet, to go after the president, after the vice president, and use it explicitly to impact the 2028 presidential elections, to get as much dirt on them as they possibly can, to subpoena every single communication, every single document in the White House, every record, everything, so that they can try to find anything they can to slander the president. That's what we're going to be dealing with for 2 years if we lose control of the House. And I don't think any Republican wants that, but that's why it really is important for people to get out to the polls in this midterm cycle. The president really is on the ballot because this is going to make a big deal for the second half of his presidency.
Oh, he's 100% on the ballot. Number one, he's going to be impeached. Let's just call it what it is. They've already said it. Many of them have already said it. I'm not talking about just the Al Greens. Others have already said it. Ted Lieu's already talking about court packing. They're already talking about impeaching members of his cabinet, hauling them up there. Do you want work on violent crime, the border, our growing economy, AI to happen? Or do you want people endlessly hauled up on Capitol Hill like Bobby Kennedy for getting like food preservatives out of food? I mean, because that's what's going to happen. And I get this a lot, and maybe hearing it from you, we'll kind of double down. I have to be a kind of a transactional realist with the audience. The time to fight these fights is in the primaries. I love primaries. I think they're a very good thing. Some Republicans say it's a waste of, I don't think it's a waste of money at all. I think it clarifies principles. But when those primaries are over, people have called me and said, Dan, my congressman, whatever, John Smith, he's really not the strongest conservative. Here's his Liberty score, whatever it may be. I said, listen, I get it. But the Liberty score for the Democrat opponent is a negative 422. So forget your congressman. It's not even about him. You're actually voting to maintain the Trump presidency and to keep chairmanships for congressmen like you and others who are good constitutionalists. And I know that's not the best answer. I get it. I know we want to live in this utopian political fairy tale where everybody's a strong Freedom Caucus type warrior, but that's not the real world in the districts we live in. Once the primaries are over, you gotta just at least show up and vote against the Democrats. That's all I'm asking.
Yep, that's exactly right. I mean, once the primaries are over, it's team red and team blue, and you got to pick which side you're on. And not showing up to the polls means that you're on team blue if you're a Republican. And at the end of the day, any Republican, it doesn't matter which Republican, any Republican, from the most conservative to the most liberal, is going to be better than any Democrat by a significant margin. And, you can look at on the Democrat side, you'll have Democrats who try to be moderate. They try to portray themselves as moderates and somebody who can appeal to the middle. The reality is Democrats are going to vote as a bloc for whatever far left ideological cause is being pushed at the moment, whether that's transing little kids or reopening the borders, tearing our border wall down and selling it to China, whatever it is, every Democrat is going to vote for it. And whenever you know that, and whenever you know that just getting call it a bad Republican in can stop that from happening, it is incumbent upon us to get to the polls and make sure that Republicans win the midterms. Because any Republican is better than what Democrats are going to do. And by the way, if you want to get conservative policies through, if you want to allow the Republican fighters to continue fighting, to continue doing investigations, you've got to just win seats. You've got to win swing seats, and the candidate may not be as conservative as you or I is, but it doesn't matter. We need that seat. We have to win control of the House. So you're exactly right. We can have these ideological battles during the primaries. I think that's extremely important. It really determines sort of the makeup of the Republican Party, or the ideological makeup of the Republican Party. But once that's over, it's the reds and the blues.
Yeah. I want to ask you one last question about redistricting, but I just, and you don't have to comment on any specific person, but I call it like the Murkowski-Susan Collins issue. Like, Susan Collins is probably the best you're going to do in Maine. She just is. Is she going to be, Rand Paul on fiscal policy or Mike Lee on she's not. But your alternative right now is a guy with a Nazi tattoo who's a freaking communist who's made such incredibly inappropriate comments about women and sexual abuse. Like that, there's one or the other, man. Like, it's your choice, Murkowski's a different issue. In more of a red state, I wish she'd be primary. But even then, even though I'm not a fan, I'm not voting for the Democrat. Like, forget it. There's no scenario by which I'm ever voting for a Democrat where that's going to lead to an AOC chairmanship or, Bernie Sanders, engaging in full-blown Soviet-style communism with a salute to match. Like, I'm not doing that. But last question for you. The redistricting fight, just the, meltdown on the left, just crashing out endlessly. Oh, and kind of blaming the Republicans. Congressman Gill, we did not start this fight. Yes, Republicans and Democrats draw lines. That's been happening since Eldridge Aguirre, in Massachusetts, in the original fight with the Federalists and elsewhere. This is not new. However, the Democrats' meltdown over trying a ridiculous gerrymander in Virginia, I mean, even by partisan standards, an outrageous attempt to destroy the whole state's Republican Party, and then getting wrecked, and then acting like the Republicans were the first to do this. I actually appreciate the Republican Party at the state level fighting back pretty hard. I know it hasn't been successes everywhere. There have been some hiccups in South Carolina. Georgia's going to delay a cycle. But there's no doubt, like, we definitely took it to the Dems. And on net, they're melting down for a reason. The reason is we're winning.
Yep, we're definitely winning this. I mean, the court ruling in Virginia was a huge win for Republicans, and you're seeing more and more states want to redistrict. But the core thing to remember is that this is a war that Democrats started years ago. Republicans did mid-cycle redistricting last cycle in order to try and take control of the House. Now, a good way to think about it, I think, and I represent a district in Texas, is I compare the maps in Texas with the maps in California. And right now, if you compare how well Democrats in Texas are represented with how well Republicans in California are represented, Democrats in Texas are better represented after our redistricting than Republicans were in California before their redistricting. In other words, gerrymandering, even within those two states, are far, far worse in California than it is in Texas. And those are two of the bigger states where you've seen the maps change. So this is a battle. This is a sort of a battlefront that Democrats have been on for a long time, and they've been quite successful on it. And I think what we're doing is just evening the balance up. You know, you've got multiple New England states that have many of whom have large populations of Republicans, 30, 40, close to 50% in some areas that have zero Republican representation. And that's a problem. And these are the things that I think we're trying to even out.
And I always appreciate, voters out there, listeners, and holding the government, even us, the Republican Party, to account. I mean, you're a representative. I'm an activist, but still, I was in government too. Accountability matters. But I think we do have to say two of the bigger wins the Republican Party have had, big, huge wins, are, dumping the filibuster for Supreme Court justices after, Harry Reid started, like Billy Joel said, started the fire and then regretted that. And we were like, you know what? You want to play that game? We'll play the game. And then on redistricting, Eric Holder, Barack Obama doubled down on cutting up districts. And we were like, okay, you want to play this game? We'll play it too. A lot of work to be done. Accountability matters. But, I don't want nonstop doom and gloom too. When we get a victory, we should celebrate a little bit. Congressman, you're doing an absolutely amazing job. I just want to tell you on behalf of the audience, we really appreciate you sticking to what you ran on and conservative principles. We need more of you in Congress, and you're welcome back anytime.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Congressman Brandon Gill, folks, one of the good guys. On the radio show and on this show, we had a no squishes rule. There was the no squishes rule wasn't on the show because we didn't do guests. We only did them on radio, but we're transplanting that here. He certainly isn't one of them. One of the good guys. And like I said, folks, I get it. Not every single Republican is going to be as conservative as Congressman Gill or a Mike Lee or something on the Senate side. I understand that. However, they are the worst Republican on planet Earth is probably better than the best Democrat. The battles are in the primaries. They just are, because you're not just voting for them. You're voting for chairmanships and the president, because he will be impeached even if we lose the House by one member. He will be. It's just a fact. The Democrats will vote in lockstep. Guarantee. Remember, I just said that. I hope you don't need to remember it because we win the House. But remember, I just said that. You got Haley coming up at noon, rumble.com/Haley, the great Haley Carania. You got Vince every day at 8 a.m., 0800 Eastern Time, rumble.com/Vince. The two of the best in the business. Check them out. And please download the free Rumble app. We would really appreciate it. Or you can go to rumble.com/Bongino on the web. One small favor, just click that follow button. It is free. You'll get a notification when we go live. Give us a follow on Apple and Spotify too. We've been performing pretty well there, considering there's no video up there. So thank you for your support. It really matters to us. I'll see you back here tomorrow.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania,
host of Vince.
Host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here
on the Bongino Report.
Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Weekdays at noon. If you miss it, no worries. The show will always be
right here
and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.